All right. Welcome back, my friends, to the podcast that never ends. It doesn't end because we have so many things and different things to discuss and cover. There's no way this thing's going to end. I mean, there's 1,000,000,001 things. And I'm on episode number 32, right? Episode number 32 is The Minefield of Mental Health. All right. So once again, your podcast, I am the host, Mike Kingston. You can reach me on the following places. You can reach me with my phone number. You can reach me with michaelkingston723 at yahoo.com. You can get this thing on Google, iHeart, Spotify, Spreaker, and all the other places. There's like 13 other places, including YouTube, that you can actually get a hold of me and this podcast, of course. The big shout out, of course, is to Spreaker for the opportunity for this whole thing. And, you know, what's happening is it's growing. I want to give you guys an update on TikTok. I was going to put this thing on TikTok and, there's a little problem with, shall we say, TikTok is from China. China has forever and a day has been trying to get the intellectual properties and all these other things from us. And it seems like, I guess, the government is trying to shut down TikTok and everything else. I'm not saying don't be on it. I'm just saying you don't want to compromise anything like your information or anything else going on. Be careful out there because the government's is trying to shut this down, and they're not letting people, even their own people, go through and utilize it. And here's why. Because if they're using it, someone could hack them. They can then get the back door to getting, into the government securities and all these other things. So again, I was going to try TikTok, but you know what? That's okay. I've got it on all the places I just mentioned. Again, big shout out to Spreaker, Speaker with an R, giving me this opportunity. Not only that, but then also all the other places that and you can even Google search it and everything else, right? I mean, that's the big part of this whole thing. Again, those are the ways you can answer me back, or you can text me. If you have my number, text me. Say, hey, this is who I am. Let's go from there. Or email or word of mouth. That's all the ways that mainly anyone can get a hold of me. Okay, so this is the experiment at the crossroads between content and conversation reinvented. It's a podcast for anything, everything, all things to everyone. This is your place to be. It's the triad of talk, the form of focus. What we have here is we have straight fire, no holds barred, off the cuff, shoot from the hip, wake up call. You can apply to any one of those or whatever's going on. Let's get you in here. You need to be here. All right. So we've got things like, things happen like epic fail, social mania, which is social media. Nothing's out of bounds. Gloves are off. Step your game up. Oh, by the way, give me an A, give me an F. Those are all idea talking points, tipping points that we can actually put right into the episodes and or have their own. Doesn't really matter, right? I am the conduit of content, the voice of the people, for the people, by the people. This is an all-information podcast wielding truth, humor, wit, sarcasm, freedom like a verbal weapon. I'm a man, a message, and a microphone. If you're screaming at the TV, the radio, or the sky over anything in your head over the BS that's out there, this is your place to be. I'm just trying to live my best life here. Let's light this candle. How do we do that? Okay, no, I don't hear anything back, of course, because I'm in the studio doing this. If you've got rants, raves, beefs, issues, problems, your pet peeves, OCD, all are accepted here. The hows, the whys, LOL, ROFL, WTF. Are you kidding me? You're killing me. Whatever gets you up in the morning and keeps you up way, way late at night. Guess what? These are all here for you, right? I'm here for you. Again, all of you out there, I consider you my family and friends. You're out there. Everything else that's going on. My listener contributor club keeps growing, which I'll go through here in a moment. The talking heads and the radio personalities that are out there, they're giving you lip service and they're basically telling you what you want to hear. Here at the Arena of Ideas podcast, it's real service in real time. And what matters to you matters to me. You know the whole deal there, right? That's the whole process we're dealing with. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into reading off the list of the listener contributor club, which is growing. Actually, I'm going to list off because, again, you have to assume that this could be the first time for anyone coming here. So there's iHeart, there's Google, there's Spotify, there's Spreaker, speaker with an R, big props to them. There's Apple. There is Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, JioSaavn, Podvine. And again, I'm not going to be doing TikTok due to the reasons that I don't want to have any problems, situations, or be compromised. Understandable, right? All right, before I get into the actual list, my disclaimer for this, of course, AOI podcast, and this one I came up with, but it's true. All right, so. Oh, you know what? Actually, here we go. Again, these are the social media places that the podcast itself actually has an outlet, a way in which to get a hold of it. On Facebook, it's basically Arena of Ideas. You type that in, you should be able to see everything. Instagram, it's on Mike Kingston 20. On Snapchat, it is on Mike K 2022722. At Twitter, it's at MikeKin 332-95359. YouTube, you just type in Arena of Ideas, and then you look for the picture and everything else. All right, so the disclaimer. Jumping around here, but we're trying to get all this stuff in. Of course, we try to pack this. We're jam-packed, as always. The views and opinions expressed in this and all Arena of Ideas podcast episodes are that of the host and guests, not to be taken out of context, misrepresented by any means possible. All right, you got that? Okay. All right. It's not roll call. I was in the military, of course. I was in the Navy, and they call it roll call. This is not roll call, but this is a way in which for me to list all these great and wonderful people. Without you guys, this list isn't built. We don't build the brand. I don't get it out there. And I don't continue to keep putting out this great content that we're doing presently. All right. So here we go. I'm going to do this. I might be tongue tied. Oh, well, life goes on. But this is my list of love here, basically, because I love doing this podcast. I love putting out the content and everything else that we are listening to presently. But the other part of this whole thing is what? You out there listening, you making the difference here. And this is your list. And if you hear duplicate names, I'm getting a lot of duplicates now because there's a lot of people with kind of the same name. So here we go. All right. I got Tim in Colorado Springs, Savannah in Colorado Springs, Kenny in Colorado Springs, Detonia in Pueblo, Jen in Pueblo, of course. Some of these names you might have heard because, again, I drop them with props and plugs for the different episodes as well. Okay, I got, Nick in Pueblo. He did the mic check. I got Adriana in Pueblo. I got Chris in Pueblo. Chantel in Pueblo. Antonio in Pueblo. Brian over in Springs. I have Jackie in Pueblo. Jared in Pueblo. Jackie and Jared are together. There you go. I have Art in Pueblo, Luke in Pueblo, Mike in Pueblo, Walt in Pueblo. And by the way, speaking of Walt, I'll be dropping in with a plug for a business with Walt's Stairs. Again, Walt, if you're listening, I hope you are. We're going to be dropping your plug for your business today. All right. I've got Lori in Pueblo. I've got Lonnie in Pueblo, Mark in Pueblo. There's Alexis in Pueblo. There's Eddie in Pueblo. Alexis in Colorado Springs. Sharon in Colorado Springs. Felicia in Pueblo. Emilio in Pueblo. Craig in Pueblo. Sharon, Colorado Springs. John in Pueblo. Orlando in Pueblo. Caesar in Pueblo. Don in Colorado Springs. Don, I hope you're listening. You're a great person, and this is an awesome opportunity, and I hope you appreciate and enjoy what you're listening to. E-Twist the Rapper, of course, episode 30. Brandon in Pueblo, Gabby in Pueblo, Melissa in Pueblo, Mark in the Springs, Joel in the Springs, Devin in Pueblo, Lankisha in Pueblo, Aisha in Pueblo, Tammy in Pueblo, Christine Pueblo, Eric in Pueblo, Sharon in Colorado Springs. I'm sorry, that might have been duplicate. Brian at CSU, Rick in Pueblo, Dave in Springs, Kevin in Pueblo, James in Pueblo. I got Kayla in Pueblo. I got Andrea and Jen in Pueblo. Mark in Pueblo. Excuse me, Rick in Pueblo. Caitlin. I got Mandy in Pueblo. Jalen, Marcia, Dave and Jessica. Dave and Jessica in Pueblo as well, together. Melanie, Danielle, Pablo, Jim, and Audrey all in Pueblo. I've got Zach in Pueblo. I've got Davina in Pueblo. I've got Megan in Pueblo. Pat, Don and Quan, Laura, Jojo, and Melissa. All those people also all preside in Pueblo. That's quite a list, man, and it's growing. I've got pages and pages here of empty space to do this all. All right, so anyway, again, the minefield of mental health is the actual episode today. And what I'm going to do right now is we're going to jump right into that. But what I'm going to do right now is get into, shall we say, some bumper music, if you will. All right, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get started with this. Hear that? That's the bumper music kicking in, and then we're going to get right into the minefield of mental health. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back again. Episode 32, the minefield of mental health is, of course, the episode. And so mental health degrees. You've got mild, you got moderate, you got severe. Later, I'll go into some symptoms and some other different categories and things of mental health that people are experiencing and having problems with. Okay, so lost in the desert or out to sea, the mind remains a mystery. The silent killer, a great thing, the mind. It's a great thing, right, the mind? Yet the least understood situation, everyone endures, different degrees and stages. That's the coping mechanism or the lack in this gray area, right? The role pharmaceuticals play. There's a big role that pharmaceuticals play when it comes to mental health and to properly addressing things with people and things like that, like lithium and these other mood control drugs and things that they use. I'm not going to get too heavy into that because, again, opioids and all these other problems that we already have with drugs and things. And if I start listing everything off, I mean, my disclaimer is that, whatever I happen to say or whatever is said in this episode, it's said. But I don't want people to go out there and get the idea like, oh, I should go out and do that. That should be something I should go out and do, right? I don't want that at all. I mean, there is, you can look it up. You can Google, psychotic or drugs for mental illness. You can look that up yourself. I'm not really getting into the pharmaceutical side of this. It is important, but there are some things that some people need to take in order to keep them balanced and them level-headed and all those kind of things. All right, so again, it's the least understood situation. Everyone endures different degrees, right, and stages. That's the coping mechanism or lack of in the gray area, right? The role pharmaceuticals play in altering and controlling emotions and pushing others over the edge. Like I said, there's a 1 degree of separation between mental illness and insanity. Excuse me, tongue-tied, right? So, that's what we have to look at, so basically, lately I see more efforts to raise awareness by famous people and physicians to help when society is paralyzed by stress, life, all things reality, right? Approximately 26% of Americans 18 and older, 1 in 4 adults suffer and diagnosed by mental disorders, right? 43.8 million experience mental illness. That's a lot. Again, bipolar, manic depression, schizophrenia, OCD, about 9.5%, 1% for schizophrenia and depression, multiple personality disorder, anxiety, you got panic attacks, social phobias. Most who commit suicide have a mental illness. And again, my thoughts and condolences out there to anyone or anything that's actually going through all that. Later, I'm going to give some definitions of those different disorders and things. Again, this is a way in which to inform, and it's awareness, and it's concern because nobody's really covering anything. It doesn't lead. It's not talking about, Ukraine, the problems over there, or this over here, or this over here, or crisis at the border. All these other things that are the main forefronts, but you forget that, it's just an important part of what happens to everyone in some capacity. Sometimes you have a mental day people take, right? Or whatever's going on. But, the bottom line is you're not alone. There's hotline numbers out there. There's websites you can go to for all this stuff. You can seek professional help. Confide in the ones you love. Kind of like the same thing with the bullying episode, which is episode 31. Bullies on parade, the hate they create. It was also kind of the same thing because it's an awareness. You may not know or realize what's going on, but it may be a big part or be important or be something you need to do. So anyway, most you can see. Okay, so not all drugs can totally answer mental health. Families, friends, and therapy can also help those in crisis. Sometimes it takes all three. Sometimes it takes one. Sometimes you never know what's going to help you, what's going to be there for you, and what's going to be a part of the way in which you're able to answer the situation, right? Right. So, beyond to be able to cope with it. First, you want to get better and be self-aware to be the best you can be. Right? No commercial reading, the answer in a bottle, or even talk shows or TV or radio can solve the eternal question. How are you doing? Right? This is a very difficult one to answer based upon many factors, right? Based upon, excuse me, boy, tough one. So, that question's difficult to answer because you could have multiple personality disorder. You could be going through some things. There could be stressors in your life. You could wake up and just have a bad day. I try to say have the best of the rest of your day, but it could be a bad day. It could be something else. Again, there's a ton of factors and ton of situations and all these angles and everything else. I'm not going to get into everything, of course, because again, that's, the whole process is it's a personal struggle that we all endure to some level and some degree. And coping with it is the biggest thing. And when we can't cope with it, then we have other outside influences, such as your situation dealing with drugs to help alter it. You would hope that you can use other things like meditation and things like that to help you in this process, but you don't know. All right. Actually, before I jump in anymore, I want to give a big shout out to someone. And again, I didn't list them on the Listener Contributor Club, but basically, she's kind of one of the ones, the proponents, if you will, for this episode. Her name is Crystal, friend of the family, great person. One of these times, maybe I might get her on to actually discuss something like this. But for right now, we're going to go with what I have down. But a big props and shout out to Crystal. She's living on the Eastern Seaboard. There's other people I probably could have thrown on here too. But anyway, give her a big plug, prop, and shout out. Give her a shout out and a props to her on the process of some of the inspiration when you're dealing with the situation in this episode. All right. So anyway, mental illness is a mental, behavioral, or emotional disorder ranging from impaired to serious, functionally to serious, and then functionality. It can even shut down functions within the body, right? It can take over your mind. It can shut your body down, kind of like a migraine headache, right? Which paralyzes during the process. Perhaps seeking meditation, relaxation, and other forms of focus can help. Right, exactly. Again, this is person related as to what works. So don't become blind or think mental illness is fake or not something to be taken lightly. It's not. Factors such as illness, head trauma, chemical makeup of humans, what we all go through, and by the way, in that process, as you get older, different things happen to you. Like, give you an example. I'm in my 50s. Well, before all that, I didn't have any allergies whatsoever. Getting into 50, now all of a sudden I have a bunch of allergies and everything else I have to take every single day. Again, that chemical makeup. Okay, so and other experiences in life can be a tipping point to this epidemic and crisis all over the world. Medication can assist you, like all things, is not the end-all answer. You've got to be able to find it within yourself. Part of it's you, and part of it's your willingness to stand up for what you think, what you are, and how you're feeling every single day, and kind of like that emotional chart, if you will, of how you're doing today, happy, sad, you're anxious, whatever you are, whatever's going on with you. Again, you're not alone here. This is a whole lot of people that have to endure this stuff all over everywhere, all over the world. And, the only true way to say, how are you doing? ? Is to answer that yourself. And, there is websites, there are phone numbers and hotlines. There is a bunch of TV and radio shows that all deal with all this, to some degree. And the concern, again, has to be, the focus needs to be within yourself, and then anything that can help you and assist you, whatever you think is your level of what that, or your situation that will get you there. Well, then that's important to you. That's important to all of us, because again, only the person knows exactly what's going on. The person must hopefully be willing to find self and want to attain self-awareness to the best that they can be. All right. So anyway, only the person, your inner self, your inner ID, your innermost center point of you, your third eye, if you will, can meet halfway and have a plan. Support, family and friends, etc., is there for critical crisis abuse modes, self. Therapy can shine light to the dark days and recesses of the mind, right? Over the edge in the self abyss of mental illness, or the minefield, right, of mental illness and mental health. Again, you're not alone. There's all the different ways and avenues that you can actually do all this. Well, this podcast is also here for you. If this is you for the first time, you seeing this and you going, wow, well, maybe I do have a situation going on in my head. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Or if it's your family and friends, or if it's whoever you confide in, or if it's professional help, whatever's going on. Again, this is just an awareness and wanting to bring to the forefront the importance of what's happening. And like I said, I'm covering a lot of these issues and things that aren't being discussed and talked about, but are so important, along with the people in my listener contributor list and then everyone else out there, right? Everyone. So if you would like to share experiences, respond, or even voice concerns, you can do this by email, text, tell me about it. The AOI, Arena of Ideas, is here for everyone in all things. This podcast is facts and opinions, not judging what has been discussed, right? I want awareness, proactivity to this discussion, hoping that even if one person listens to this episode and takes action in crisis of mental illness or mental health, I am thankful for the result. And basically, this whole situation dealing with mental health and thing has been spreading in pandemic proportions for many years now. In fact, as we keep going on through life and the insanity and crazy things that happen in life and all these other things, the coincidences and all these other things that are going on that we keep just chalking up to, well, it's 2022 or whatever it is. Like everything else, all those things keep going up. And so does the mental illness and mental health situations that happen in the world, in your world, my world, and all the world to see. All right. So it's important, and it's added onto insurance services. Without your health, both mental and physical, you are a broken and lost soul, void of purpose. Please let those out there know to listen. I'm not a doctor or even play one on the weekends, right? I'm not. The medical industry, I like many concerned citizens who want to be the voice to enlighten and focus the fight. Being a conduit and safe place for us all. This is a safe space. This is a safe place to listen, to interact, and everything else in every capacity. And the biggest priority and the biggest thing that we all can take away from this episode and everything else that I bring to the forefront and whatever topic it might be, it doesn't matter. Look, you out there matter. Again, this is your podcast. I'm the host. It's listening, overhearing, so on and so forth. If you're out there and you're questioning yourself, you're listening to this episode and you're questioning yourself and what's going on, and you want to, you're wondering, this is just me, right? Well, it's not. You're not alone. You can stand up. You can use this episode and this podcast as a platform for what you're dealing with and going through. You can also look at the focus of turning to your family, turning to your friends, professional help, whatever's going on. Again, I'm not here to play a doctor. I'm not here to do all these other things and I have all the answers and everything else. It's supposed to be the greatest conclusion and answer to, the end all be all, like some snake oil salesman. If you drink this here elixir, it's going to make you better. Well, it may or may not. It might work for you. It might not. But it's taking a chance and willing to do what you can do to help yourself in this and all capacities of anything. All right. Again, you're not alone out there. We're here for you as well as everyone else is. Right? Right. That's the biggest thing. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it up with a little bumper music, and then we're going to come right back with more discussions and information and things about mental health and awareness. All right. So all right, this is episode number 32 of the Arena of Ideas podcast, the minefield of mental health, and we'll be right back. All right. Welcome back. You hear that? That is the sound, soulful sounds of this wonderful voice. I would hope it's wonderful, and I hope you're still listening. All right. So we're back right into the heart and the meat of the 32nd episode, the minefield of mental health, which it is. All right. So let's get back right into it. Okay. There are websites and hotlines for help with struggling dilemmas dealing with mental health and states, and hotlines, again, depending where you're from. Underlined, all caps, exclamation points. You are not alone. All right? You may feel alone. You may feel in the darkest depths of the abyss, whatever. You're looking up from the bottom of the ocean, but you're not. You're not alone. You can, again, gather up the strength with this podcast. You can sit there and do all the ways in which and the conduits I already explained in the process of all that, right? I already explained, excuse me, I don't want to rehash everything and go back over everything all over again, but you can do that. You're not alone. I consider the Arena of Ideas podcast and everyone out there listening and contributing and being a part and the embodiment of what I do here. You're all my family and friends out there. And this is just another chapter in this whole situation that we all go through, again, called the Arena of Ideas podcast. And if you can seek that or go through some other venue or avenue in which to, help make you feel that much better about yourself, guess what? That's what we're all here for. Okay, so everyone has bouts in one form or another, form of mental health breakdowns. It could be caused by stress. It could be caused by outside influences. It could be in your own head. It could be different things. It's from mild to severe, right? The stigma surrounding mental health is quite vast and misunderstood. Through insecurities and denial, as I stated, everyone has some form of mental breakdowns, right? Many do not know they are going through it. Many don't. Negative impact and derogatory terms for it create deep and impactful outcomes. You're not alone. Seek who you trust everywhere, and whoever you can come to terms with. And it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that it happens to everyone. So let me give you some terms and these are different things. Again, you might hear these, you might not. It's okay. It's just that know that sometimes people will use these out there in a negative and bad fashion when it comes to anybody, right? I mean, it's just the process, and it's not. These are just terms and stuff I looked up. So if you can, I'm not saying answer to them. I'm just saying that this is kind of what people will do in a conversation to talk about other people in a negative fashion. It happens. People can be positive. People can be negative. Okay. So disturbed, nuts, confused, psycho, spastic, crazy, depression, mad, disabled, unpredictable, scary, numb, ill, loneliness, loony bin, you have a screw loose, psychiatric, stress, violence, mentally insane, schizophrenic, weird, freak, odd, retard, head case, straitjacket, brain dead, demented, and more. Everyone has used one or more to explain what they have no clue about, or what it's really all about, right? The following is those who are bullies and think being this way makes them a bigger, better, stronger person, right? Through insecurities, anger, ill will creates this culture of mislabeling, misconceptions, and upheaval, right? Chaos. Again, society is fed into this topic completely, right? Habitually. All forms of entertainment has used this disorder to earn large amounts of money off this. crisis, off this crisis, millions came to grips with daily. That millions come to grip with daily. Basically things you have to go through and everything else, right? They have movies out there. There's books out there on that subject and then what happens to people when they do this, and then they make money, and music sometimes too. Entertainment itself. All forms of entertainment. Let's see. If you are listening to this episode and you're feeling like you can relate to the subject matter and are struggling with mental health issues, you and I, meaning everyone, you're not alone. Please turn here, or family and friends, or again, seek professional help, whatever you have to do. But again, we're all here for you, right? In all settings, just know you matter. Here is me and my concern in awareness capacity. Know either you can be born out of your control, or you can have something, right? That happens internally to change and shift your brain and chemical makeup again, or a outward situation trauma to the head, blunt force trauma, can alter your brain and cause PTSD, mental health, depression, and so on, right? Mental health and substance disorders affect 13% of the world's population. 13%. Depression is in the mental, Depression is the number one mental disorder impacting 300 million people, right? Women normally are affected more than men. Or they at least they're willing to talk about it, and a lot of guys won't discuss that. It's number one, depression, then anxiety, then bipolar affective disorder, then schizophrenia and other psychoses, and then dementia. Those are the main ones. So depression. Depression is a group of conditions associated with the elevation or lowering of a person's mood. Anxiety, a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, usually when something is impending. Stopping right here for a moment. Basically, if you are feeling this way and everything else, you can send me an email. You can use my phone to text me. You can sit there and use the social media platforms I already explained in order to get across your point of how you're going through all this. And again, if you want to be outward about it, then fine. If you don't want to and you want to internalize it, that's fine too. This is a way in which to make sure you know that you're loved and appreciated. Everyone's here for you. Even if it's this podcast or the other ways in which I said for you to go out there and find a way to get this out there for yourself. It's a personal journey, so you take it as you want to. Some people are more extroverts where they explain things. Some are not. Okay, you're not alone. You're here. And again, I just want to thank, again, Crystal for this episode idea and the process of dealing with this serious situation, and also everyone else out there that's also in the Arena of Ideas podcast realm, if you will. Okay, let's see. Anxiety. So bipolar depression, a disorder with mood swings from depressive lows to manic highs. Schizophrenia, a disorder that affects a person's ability to think, feel, and behave clearly, right? Sometimes, in some cases, it's genetic. Environment and altered brain chemistry can play a big part in schizophrenia. Dementia. It's a group of thinking and social symptoms that interferes with daily thinking. Usually two brain functions, usually memory loss and judgment. I'm sorry about my throat today. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just doing the best I can do. So in conclusion, if this episode is hit home with you on any or some or all levels, you know on all sides that I've laid out, and in this discussion, please seek information dealing with of how important you are and your complete health. You're not alone. I am in appreciation of the fact that through all the Arena of Ideas podcast, that we're all out here. You're not alone, and we're all a part of this thing we call a struggle every single day. And whatever you're going through and the hurdles that you're trying to jump over and things, that's all a big part of what we here are here for, right? I can get out the information and awareness of what matters to all here, and to those lives it lives it touches through someone else. Mental health is at times used by people of influence, movies, books, music, and even in life for other amusement and financial gain. Here I am for making a difference in all lives, to be a voice, message, and platform for the world. I want to thank all of you and all things that matter. You're not alone. There's websites and there's hotlines you can call. That list was way too big on trying to look up specifically about dealing with that process, right? Again, this is what I have down, and what I've come up with as to the discussion there, but it doesn't end. I've got, email. I've got a phone number. I've got word of mouth. I've got all these other things. Plus you can also comment on all the 4 places, FIST, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, that you can go in and also comment, and I'll try to get those out. I haven't seen anything. Again, I know people are out there listening. I've got over 2,500 impressions, probably more than that, of all the people out there. Tip of the cap to everyone on that listener contributor club list and everything else. We're going to get into the other parts of this episode. All right. Again, I don't want to beat anyone over the head with it. There's other places out there and other venues that they do that. They want to beat you over the head with everything. And I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that we make it a point to have a focus. Each episode has a focus on what's going on as per that topic and that idea. But from there, we go and we have other things too. And I want to try and give some levity, and I also try to give some awareness in other capacities. But the main focus again here is the minefield of mental health, and whatever you're going through and the struggles you're having and enduring, they're not taken lightly. They're important to us all. And no matter this episode or not, you matter. Whoever is out there, you matter. Seek and do what you can do, and whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you want to do to be able to find your center, your third eye, through meditation, relaxation, or whatever else you can do, or medication, to help you in the process of trying to overcome whatever mental health and mental illness situations you're going through. You're not alone. We are here as everyone else is too. I would hope so. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into some more bumper music, and then we'll come right back, and then we'll get into the comedy corner, and we'll move on through the other part of this episode, right? So that's what we're going to do right now. We're throwing some bumper music as we roll on with the 32nd episode, The Minefield of Mental Health. We'll be right back. All right. We are right back here, of course, in this episode. The Comedy Corner. We got to, maybe we can get some levity here now. And again, if you laugh at these jokes, you don't laugh at the jokes, you want to comment to me and tell me you hate them, you love them, whatever's going on, please do. There are some people out there that really love them. Some that hate them. If you don't like the jokes, well, you know what? Give me better ones to use. And I will throw them in here, and I'll give you credit for doing them, right? Right. Okay, so, all right, so here we go. We'll do the Comedy Corner. We'll throw a couple out there, and then we'll move on. All right, so, if at first you don't succeed, Skydiving is not for you. Yowza. A book just fell on my head. I only have my shelf to blame. When one door closes, another one opens. Other than that, it's a pretty good car. LOL. Excuse me. Why can't your nose be 12 inches long? Because then it would be a foot. All right, I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead, right? Okay. Get this one out of there. Okay, so anyway, that covers the comedy corner, right? Right. Okay, so how's everyone doing out there? I'm doing really good. I'm trying to, keep this going, keep the content moving and everything else. What I've got is I've got my mic check. I've got the commercial read. I think I might just do the commercial read now, get it out of the way. And then I've got the plug for Walt's Stairs, and that's my plug. And then I've got my, the mic check. And of course, remember the legends and everything else. We'll go from there, and then we'll just move on. Right. So here we go. Commercial read. It's for Walt's Stairs. The proprietor and owner of Walt's Stairs is Walt. The phone number is 719-877-3878. WaltStairs@hotmail.com is another way in which to get a hold of Walt. Walt, I tell you what, I met him out there walking the streets and everything. Got a chance to talk to him. What a great guy. What an amazing person. Great personality, great everything, great sense of humor and sarcasm, great guy. We'll get back to it. All right, so handcrafted, engineered, and structural stairs, cement, steel, all materials and styles are no problem. For this resident pro, consummate professional with quality and pride in every step. Give Walt a call and a chance to wow you over his quality, his abilities, and the end finished product, which is your way in which to get up and down and around when it comes to a house, a business, a building, and or other structures. Again, Walt is the main proprietor for Walt's Stairs. Great company, great person, great quality person. Such is the same thing as his work when it comes to Walt's Stairs. Again, phone number 719-877-3878. And then, of course, on WaltStairs@hotmail.com as well to get a hold of him. All right. What do you think about that? I think it's awesome. Walt's a cool person, and heck yeah. All right. So this time, I want to give props to Carrie and Laura. Carrie and Laura. I maybe, I don't know if they're listening or not. That's okay. I'm going to tell them about it. That I did a bio read on Ed Sheeran. They're both huge monster-sized fans of Ed Sheeran. They even have this little montage type of a poster type thing that they have together of him in homage to him. I thought it's awesome. He's amazing. Ed Sheeran's an amazing person anyway. And I really, I was impressed. That's also why he's in this read. But anyway, what's happening is Ed Sheeran, again, props to, of course, Nick, who came up with the mic check. And of course, to Carrie and Laura, if you're out there listening, guess what? Ed Sheeran is the mic check this time. All right. Edward Christopher Sheeran, born February 17th, 1991, is an English singer and songwriter born in Halifax, England. Started his career writing songs at age 11. What were you doing at age 11? Exactly. Not writing songs. Recorded his first album in 2011. His first hit single, The A-Team, my personal favorite, right? In 2012. He's won many awards, number one chart-topping chart-topping power. It says a lot. Being a singer-songwriter, and basically he also got a Song of the Year with Thinking Out Loud in 2016. His third album spawned 2 chart-topping hits, Shape of You and Castle on the Hill. Sheeran, a complete certified hitmaker, sold more than 150 million records worldwide. I think of him and John Mayer kind of the same ilk. And again, Carrie and Laura, this is just my version of my take on him. You may not think of it this way, but I kind of look at music like a web, and everything else and the inner workings kind of apply to that. All right. So, Spotify named him second most streamed artist of a decade. Find him to be just a 5-tool performer, a great musician with powerful lyrics, so intimate and intelligent, modern crooner beyond compare. That's my take on it. And I want to just, thank Carrie and Laura. Again, they're the kind of the inspiration in that whole dealing with Ed Sheeran, right? Right. Okay, so that was the mic check. Now we'll get into Remember the Legends. And again, guys, this is just a way to give context and be out there. And if you guys have other people you want down as a mic check or Remember the Legend or anything, just tell me. I'll get them written down and we'll get to them. It's a way in which, again, some people have forgotten these people. Some people don't even know who they are because they're so young. They're not immersed, if you will, and versed with everyone out there. And that's why I'm doing both a mic check and I'm doing the Legends segment, giving everyone a chance to be a part of this. All right. So, all right. Steve Young. Steve Young's the Remember the Legends, this segment, this episode. Steve Young, born October 11th, 1961, former college and pro football player. Reason why he's in this episode is because also he suffers from clinical social anxiety. That's also why I kind of tied him into this episode, right? Found a way to cope and focus on his abilities to the tune of 4,239 rushing yards and 33,124 passing yards in the NFL. He actually spent most of his time backing up Joe Montana for the San Francisco 49ers. So he probably would have had way more than that, but because he was a backup, it didn't get the same, opportunity. Spent most of his time backing up Joe Montana. He was in San Francisco for the 49ers. He won his first Super Bowl in San Francisco, and he was successful also in college with BYU, Brigham Young University. Out of college, he played in the USFL, United States Football League, and that was a league that started up back in the 80s. Basically, they were having strikes in football during that time, and then someone spawned another league to try and keep the perpetuation of football going. Right? He was with the LA Express in the USFL. He went to Tampa Bay for the NFL, and then on to San Francisco. A left-handed QB. An amazing mobile QB way back then. He was, an amazing mobile QB way back then and a part of the 49ers dynasty of the 80s and 90s. Really a great leader on and off the field. Didn't let his social anxiety disorder affect his abilities. Made the NFL Hall of Fame in 2005 and was actually made college and NFL Hall of Fames, actually both. Wow. To me, a great athlete, and today is an analyst on ESPN's Monday Night Football coverage. To me, a legend and survivor of mental health issues and life. Awesome. All right. I don't have too much when it comes to a mailbag or anything. Oh, I forgot to mention, I haven't heard much on the front of telling me more countries that are actually out there listening. But Australia, England, Ireland, India, my impression count is actually over 2,000, like 2,500 now. Thanks to all of you out there. You guys matter. Trust me, you're the reason why and the motivation as to why I do this podcast and these episodes and everything else. You matter. All of you do. Okay, so again, this could be your first time listening. And you could be the first time listening, and I want to welcome you to the Arena of Ideas podcast. It's the embodiment of all of you out there. It's all of what you have to say and everything else. Again, I'm the man, the mission, the message, and the microphone. I'll get it right. If you're out here for the first time listening, I thank you for being here. I appreciate everything that everyone says to me and gets back at me with about all this. And you know what? It pumps me up. People listen and say, hey, this is great. This is wonderful. If you don't like it, then you know what? You don't have to listen, but also you can tell me why you don't like it. And I can also try to improve. I'm trying to improve every single time I get on an episode or I speak in front of this microphone. I'm trying to work on it. So please help me that way. If you've been here and you're still listening and you've listened, there's a few people out there that have listened to actually every episode and they're waiting for the next one to drop. And I thank you for all that. If you listen to one, you listen to all of them, it doesn't matter. I thank you for being here in any capacity, in any way possible. I've got 30 to 50 more, beyond that maybe even, ideas and things written down. I just haven't gotten to them all yet. It's a matter of getting the pecking order and figuring out, what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. These episodes kind of, they kind of call out to me, it just kind of, this idea hits, something clicks in my head. The next thing you know, I'm doing that episode. So again, I thank you for being here, being back here. If it's your first time or if you've listened to this whole thing for a long time, it doesn't matter. I thank all of you for being out there. I appreciate everything. You know the ways to get a hold of me. I don't have anything for a letter bag or comments. Again, you can get at me at michaelkingston723@yahoo.com. You can also call my number, which is posted in there. Or if you already have my number, text me. Or you've got the 4 different ways in social media to get back at this podcast and also pertaining to these episodes and everything else going on, whatever's happening. All right. So basically, that's it. This has been, again, the Arena of Ideas, AOI podcast, 30-second episode, the minefield of mental health. If you're somewhere in that process, again, you're not alone. We're here for you. I'm not here. I don't have, amassed platforms like Dr. Phil or these other people out there that are throwing all this out there, this consciousness. Mine is to raise consciousness and awareness towards you, and everybody else out there. We're all just, everyone else puts your pants on the same way or whatever you put on the same way every single day. And we're all a part of this in the struggle, whatever it might be. We're all a part of this. So I'm just going to put it out that until next time, this has been your host, Mike Kingston of the AOI podcast, your podcast. Have the best of the rest of your day. And until next time,